All right, let's get right into it. We're about to tackle one of the biggest laundry headaches out there and turn you into a total stain fighting pro. Oh man, we've all had that moment, right? You're folding laundry, feeling all productive, and then bam, you spot it. That mysterious set in stain that somehow made it through the wash. It's exactly what happened to YouTuber Olivia Sward with her husband's t-shirt. So your first thought is probably, well, that's a goner, right? Destined for the rag pile. But hold on. What if I told you there's a simple, kind of secret way to get out almost any stain, even the old, stubborn ones? So let's talk about the unstoppable stain. The real challenge here isn't actually the stain itself. No, it's how we deal with it. We just grab whatever cleaner is under the sink, cross our fingers, and hope for the best. And that right there is where things go wrong. Okay, this is the secret sauce, the key to the whole thing. It turns out not all stains are created equal. According to the experts, people on the Rachel Ray Show, guides from Tide, they all say the same thing. Stains aren't some random mystery. In fact, something like 95% of them fall into just a few simple categories. So it's time to know your enemy, because once you can identify what you're up against, you can pick the perfect weapon to fight it. Seriously, just understanding a little bit of the basic chemistry behind the stain, that's your first step to total victory. All right, here's the breakdown. It's actually pretty simple. You've got your protein stains. Think anything that comes from a living thing, like blood, sweat, grass. Then you have tannin stains, which are plant-based. That's your coffee, red wine, fruit juice. And finally, oil stains. Grease, makeup, butter. The big takeaway here is that each of these types reacts completely differently to things like heat and cleaners. And boom, here it is. This is the most critical piece of information. Using the wrong water temperature is the absolute #1 mistake people make. For protein stains, like blood or sweat, you have to use cold water. Hot water will literally cook the protein and set that stain forever. But for oil stains, you need warm or hot water to help break down and dissolve that grease. Okay, you know the enemy, you know the rules of engagement. Now let's get to the actual stain fighting playbook. I'm going to give you this specific step-by-step tactics for each of our 3 main categories. First up, protein stains. Remember, this is your blood, sweat, grass kind of stuff. The golden rule here is cold, cold, cold. Seriously. First, rinse it with cold water from the back of the stain to push it out. Then, pre-treat it, maybe with an enzyme-based detergent or just a paste of baking soda and water. Let that sit for a good 15, maybe 30 minutes. Then, just wash it on a cold cycle. Remember, heat is your absolute enemy here. All right, next up, tannin stains. This is your coffee, your wine, your juice. With these, speed is everything. The second it happens, blot it with a clean cloth. Get up as much as you can. Then, flush it with cold water, again, from the back. After that, a simple 50-50 mix of white vinegar and water is your best friend. Treat the spot with that, and then just launder it like you normally would. And now for the greasy stuff, oil stains. Think makeup, cooking grease. Now listen closely. Do not use water first, okay? Scrape or blot off the extra oil, then go straight for a colorless dish soap. Dawn is fantastic for this. Rub it in gently and let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes to really break down that oil. Then you can wash it in the warmest water the fabric can handle. That soap is designed to cut grease, and it works like a charm. Okay, but what about those mystery stains? The ones that have been there forever and you have no idea what they are. Well, for those tough, set-in stains, here's a DIY power solution. This is the mixture that Olivia Sward used so successfully. You just need some white vinegar, baking soda, liquid dish soap, and hydrogen peroxide. Mix it all up into a paste, slap it on the stain, and let it sit for at least an hour before you wash it. It's kind of like a multi-tool that tackles all 3 stain types at once. All right, so we've got the specific playbooks, but no matter what kind of stain you're fighting, there are a few universal rules you've got to follow every single time. Think of these as the golden rules of stain removal. Rule number 1, and this is a big one. Act as soon as you possibly can. The faster you get to a stain, the less time it has to bond with the fabric fibers, which makes it a million times easier to get out. Rule 2, blot, don't rub. I know your first instinct is to scrub the heck out of it, but don't. Rubbing just grinds the stain deeper into the fabric and can even make the spot bigger. You want to use a gentle, dabbing, or blotting motion to lift it. Rule number 3, always test first. Before you go putting any kind of cleaning solution on a visible part of your clothes, test it somewhere hidden, like an inside seam, just to make sure it won't mess with the color or the fabric. It's a tiny step that can save you a whole lot of heartbreak. And finally, rule number 4. This might be the most important rule of them all. Check before you dry. The heat from a clothes dryer is like super glue for stains. It will set them permanently. If a stain is still there after you wash it, do not throw it in the dryer. Treat it again, wash it again, and only dry it when the stain is completely gone. Okay, and one last thing. This is a really, really important safety warning from the experts over at Bosch. Never, ever, ever mix ammonia and bleach. When you combine them, they create toxic fumes that are incredibly dangerous. Just don't do it. So, after all that, what have we learned? What's your new laundry superpower? Let's wrap this all up. The big takeaway is this. Stain removal isn't magic. It's just chemistry. It's as simple as that. By figuring out what a stain is actually made of, you can choose the right tool, the right chemical reaction, whether it's cold water, warm water, vinegar, or soap, to break it down and just wash it away. So now you're armed with all this knowledge. You're not at the mercy of spills and splatters anymore. You've got the playbook to save pretty much any piece of clothing. So the only question left is, what impossible stain are you gonna conquer first?